We locked in now?
All right, so this is episode one of. All right, so first things first, we're starting a podcast, but we don't exactly know what we're gonna name it. So, do you have any ideas?
I have zero ideas. This is a. Usually I could come up with some good names on the spot. I'm drawing a blank, so I might have to think on this right here.
You know, the first thing that I say that I'm thinking is like certified something, but then that would insinuate that it's only your podcast.
Yeah. Nah.
So I feel like we got to do like a combination of,
Yeah.
So
Yeah, because if it was just mine, I would 100% go certified. That's just kind of the
we don't
go-to.
have any followers right now, but eventually we'll get some followers and we'll ask the fans.
Yeah.
Eventually, be like, hey, let the fans vote. There's going to be a poll about.
Drop a comment. If anybody watches this, drop a comment on what the video or what the podcast should be named.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm Ricky and he's Joel. So if you have any creative ideas with that, because I'm not very creative right now. Which, no topics on hand.
We don't have a script. There's no blueprint.
So
we're just going off the dome. So
we just spent an hour trying to figure out how to set up the recording. I might have already said that, but yeah, we couldn't figure out how to set up the mic to work. But at least we're making progress.
Right. Yeah. So shoot, let's just start from day one. How about we just talk about how we met? Like
facts.
How long have you been friends? Like I want to know, like, what was your first impression of me?
Yeah, I actually so Joe, first of all, I'm sipping on this little what is it called? Spicy water, a little cherry limeade, you know what I'm saying? But,
zero calorie, because
calorie.
You got to keep the calories down.
We're getting locked in. But no, it's funny because I knew of Joel before I knew Joel. So I started working at Gallup and I had heard about you because you were off in Marine basic training. So I had heard of Joel, but I didn't know Joel. And then one day randomly, I think I was still in training because I didn't even sit in the row yet. We had a little Hispanic row, you could call it. And I saw you walking around. And bro, like, it's crazy because I still have a vivid memory of when I saw you. I think I actually took over the desk that you used to sit at once I whatever down the road. But bro, you were looking so slim when you came back from basic training. I was like, I mean, I didn't know you before, but like looking back on when I see those pictures, I'm like, damn, I still remember when I saw you, you know? But we didn't even start really talking for a while. I don't think we started really talking until I got out of training, moved into the row, and we just kind of all would get around and talk in the middle of the row. And that's probably how it started. We were all into cars. We started going to car meets. You got your Mazda Speed 3. Yeah. And I feel like that's where the connection started.
Yeah, I think the connection started with cars because we had Edwin in our row. He had an Evo 9. And then there were a couple people, like, I think I was probably the second person to kind of get a car, and then Drea was in our row, and she was talking about getting a G35, and then I remember one time I left Gallup just to go test drive this Cobalt SS that I almost bought, and I don't know who went with me, but
I had no.
But it was like a super modified, Cobalt SS, and I was like, yeah, I don't know, because I was.
Was it a black one?
Maybe no, I don't think so. I think you're thinking about what's her name's.
Yeah.
I want to say her name.
We're not dropping any names, but
her boyfriend had.
Because I remember that car was around the car community for a minute, bro. Like it had been beat, got repurchased, beat, and beat again.
So then after I had the Mazda Speed 3, I went nuts with the Mazda Speed 3. Big turbo E85 purple drink tune. Straight piped it, exhaust cutout. And then I think Renee actually bought his Evo 9, which is pretty cool.
You even had a little button for the cutout, right? Yeah. And then Renee had that red Evo.
Well, yeah, it's kind of interesting because like I was kind of thinking like because we were talking about sacrifice, and we were talking about like put in the work and delayed gratification and how long it takes to, like, for example, to become a pilot. There are some people that they want to they want the success, but they don't necessarily want to go through the process. They don't want to go through all the years of hard work. And I was like, where the heck was Ricky like all those years? Because like we were really good friends at Gallup, but then there's this huge like void in the timeline where I'm like, man, there was at least like seems like 4 or 5 years that we didn't really talk. Like you weren't coming over, like we weren't hanging out like we do now. And I was like, okay, I know I moved to Dallas, but even when I lived at Spring Acres, you know, well, I guess you came to my wedding, so we were still connected.
Yeah, we were connected, but we weren't like at the time I was in a relationship, and I honestly like even now, yeah, I'm around, but like I'm a very I may like I am social, I guess, but I also keep to myself a lot. Like I'm terrible about reaching out to people. I'm terrible about like I really have to be weighing heavily. Someone has to be weighing heavily on my mind in order for me to reach out and be like, "Yo, bro, thinking about you. Like, how you doing?" Like that's just not in my nature, really. So I feel like for all those years, we were still connected. We were still around each other, but I was like, and then in that relationship, I was pretty much like a homebody. Like I was at home all the time, so I didn't really kick it with anybody. But I still came to the wedding and we were still connected. We'd still be talking and stuff like that. But I feel like that's where that gap is. It's like, you know, and then you move to Texas.
No, we didn't talk. We didn't talk like while like there was no group chat. Like we weren't connected like daily while I was in Texas. But like before that in 2018 when I was practicing to get my flight instructor license, that's when I was like, oh, let me see if Ricky wants to go fly. Let me try to practice on him because I was essentially practicing on how to teach, but I don't have a teaching degree. I didn't go to college to teach, but now I'm pursuing the certificate to teach people. And I was like, Ricky's the perfect candidate because he's mechanically inclined. He's a smart dude. Like he's somebody that I could see actually pursuing a pilot license anyways.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, this is going to be like great practice. And honestly, we had a lot of fun. Like I think that, you know, you were actually correlating the information that I was giving you with what was actually happening in the airplane. I was teaching them how to steer the airplane right because you don't steer the airplane with the actual control wheel. You steer it with the rudder. You have differential, you know, braking. And so if you want to go left, you press the left brake. If you want to go right, you know, so.
And that was, well, two things. Back to being connected, I feel like that's one of the cool things about social media, that it allows us to stay connected. Like now we have that group chat and yeah, maybe it's dumb memes or whatever, but it'll be conversation starters or we're at least checking in like, you know, we're connecting with each other. But back to that story of the class, that was sick too. And it's funny because I feel like maybe it's the ego part or the like, nah, like I feel like I know what I'm doing, you know? So I remember the thing that most stands out to me is when I was in the plane and about to take off, you're like, yo, you really got to put that left rudder in because of the right rudder because of the way it's spinning. And I was like, man, it ain't even that deep. Like, I'm sure I got it, you know? And I'm thinking like I'm feathering the pedal and the plane is just like,
it's going left.
Yeah, it's going left. Right. And you're like, nah, bro, you really got to put that foot in. So then I really put the foot in and obviously we went straight. But I feel like that kind of speaks to whenever you're being taught something, you can get in your own way. Even though you're getting this instruction in your head, you're dumb. You're like, nah, like it can't be that much. Like I got this. Right. It's like, no, bro, you're getting literal instruction from someone that does this. Take the advice.
Or the other lesson could be that you're not necessarily going to, like I always say, like you don't have to be that smart to do these high level jobs, but what you do have to have is a lot of repetition, and you know everyone is skilled in their particular field, and they didn't get there like first try.
Oh,
you know
100%.
What I mean? So if you were to do that over and over and over, it would become second nature. You know, so
even what we talked about, or for example, my current job, like being in tech, I always talk about it at work. I'm like, yeah, man, like, you know, these layoffs, I'm like, I'm not a techie person. Like I found myself in tech. Yeah, I worked at Apple, had connections, ended up in tech. But when I started at LinkedIn, like, did I know how to run a SQL query? Did I know what a curly call is? When I'm looking at how the insight tag, like, I don't know any of that. And to this day, I'm still not like, I'm not going to say, oh, I'm amazing at this, but that repetition and just putting into practice and being hands-on, that's the best teacher.
Right. And the fact that you've gone as far as you've gone is just proof of concept that you can really, do whatever you want. But so yeah, I mean, I guess back to the original stories that, I went 5 years without kind of connecting with you. Like you would like my stuff on social media and
Hmm.
whatnot. But I guess like what was the moment that we actually reconnected? Because I came back, I moved into the cabin and Blair, I was doing my own thing. I was trying to remodel it. I was doing
Yeah.
the epoxy floors, but I wasn't really inviting. I mean, I guess I
I
had
think
my
that
birthday
is.
party, right? My
I
birthday party was
I feel
that
like
the
that was probably like the because was that the first time that we were when you've moved back, you moved straight into the cabin?
Yeah, we bought. Well, no, we actually bought the cabin from Texas in April. We closed
Yup.
on it, and we didn't actually move until August.
And it's only been what, 2, 3 years? Two,
No, 1 year.
bro. So yeah, we've only really been
Yeah,
connected
1 year.
for
So I bought it last April 2023, and then we were still living in Dallas because Sierra was. She worked at Boys and Girls Club, so she needed to wait until the end of the school year
yeah,
because she didn't want to dip out on the kids like
yeah,
mid school year, and then she had the summer programming for Boys and Girls Club, and then that's when I was like, all right, like I'm still working at my regional airline, but like it's time to move back. Like we're having conversations about kids and having kids, and we're like also tired of living in an apartment. Like the apartment we lived at was nice, but people are door dinging your car. We had the valet trash where they would come I think it was every other day, or
hmm,
I don't remember, but it was like an outdoor hallway. Because in Texas, they don't have like the indoor hallways like they do here because it gets cold here.
yeah.
But anyways, they were dragging the garbage bags, and it was leaking all over the
Oh yeah,
floor.
yeah, yeah.
I was like, man, like I'm just tired of having an apartment. And we were like, all right, let's buy a house. But I was also thinking about it from an investment standpoint. I was like, let me look for a house that I could either make an Airbnb, I could rent it out, or I could make a profit on it. So we ended up making an offer on a house that I thought I could maybe, you know, force appreciate by
Yup.
doing some work to it. And then I had my birthday party in June, but we were still living in Texas, and I furnished it and everything.
That's so crazy, bro. So
And
yeah,
then
it's only been about a year.
yeah, and then in August we moved, and then like a couple of months later, I changed jobs, and then when Sierra left her job last summer, she hasn't worked since. She's
Hmm.
just been working on her master's degree, and yeah, so really we've only been like reconnected, and this is the closest we've been is this last year,
One hundred
where I
percent.
feel like I think we have the same mentality, you know we just want to better ourselves. We're into fitness. The car interest has
Yeah.
kind of faded. We still like cars, but we just don't see. We just don't think, maybe at least I don't think that it's worth maybe spending the money on cars anymore because it's
One
kind of
hundred
like
percent.
an unnecessary expense, or it's like a hobby. If I had disposable income, maybe I would buy something that I could work on. But
Bro, I mean, even
yeah,
speaking to the similar interests, when I pulled up here, I thought it was my laptop because you were watching a video that I had just finished watching on Ralph Barbosa's car collection.
yeah, yeah.
But I also feel like at the time, like I've grown a lot. I mean, we've both grown a lot, and I feel like at the time you were a lot more like gung ho about things. Like you've always been like that, whereas me, I mean, even to this day, I'm not as gung ho, but I feel like we're kind of like at a point in life where we can connect and like and bounce ideas off of each other. Because yeah, nowadays we have those similar interests, and it's like, I mean, one of the things that we did recently was do that turkey trot. It's like it all started from watching a football game. We're talking to each other. It's like, nah, bro, the competitive spirit. You think you could beat me in a 5K? Of course I could beat you in a 5K.
Right.
I
And
did.
honestly, you have to take a step back because this past fall, before even the turkey trot, we were playing tennis, we
Yep.
were playing basketball,
It's that competitive
we
spirit.
were just, we were just getting active. I was just like, hey, I need to get out, and there's nothing more motivating than seeing somebody else there with you suffering.
Yep.
Because the truth of the matter is, I could be sitting here in my basement and I could do a workout, and then I could quit at any time and no one will notice. But when you're with another person and you wanna quit, you're like, I mean, if they're not gonna stop, then I'm not gonna stop. You
Bro,
know?
actually, I think that's one of the biggest things that if I think of myself, I've always been internally competitive, and like in my head, I'll be like, "Nah, I want to win." But when I was younger, especially at the time that like we met, I was very I didn't have as much confidence. I feel like I wouldn't like to speak things out into the world. Like I wouldn't say, "Oh, I'm gonna beat you." I'd be like, "Oh yeah," like I wouldn't, bro. I didn't
Right.
even know how to talk smack.
You didn't like to talk shit.
Yeah, like I'd just be like, "Oh yeah," like whatever. Like I felt I would limit myself in what I thought I could do, and then almost I'd like to surprise and delight. Be like, "Oh, if I win, cool." Whereas now, I think really when I started training martial arts, that started coming out more. Because then I started training martial arts, it gave me a different confidence. And now I do like to talk shit. I'll be like, "Nah, bro, like what? You ain't about to beat me." Because
Right.
just going through those workouts and going through sparring and getting my ass beat, but then also beating others, I feel like that's fueled my competitive spirit. And now that I'm more competitive, you've always been that competitive. I feel like that's also grown our relationship because it's like, nah, I'll talk shit to you, and now we're gonna go compete.
Yeah, maybe at least from like my angle, I see that Ricky maybe had some insecurities in the past, and now he's done all of these things. He's accomplished a lot, and you just naturally become more confident,
Yeah,
and you know what you're capable of. You're more in tune with who you are, and so you're just more confident. So you're willing. You're like, oh well, I can back it up.
yeah,
You know, like
exactly.
if I call you out to do jujitsu, like you can back it up because you know how to do jujitsu, and not only that, but we've done jujitsu and
Yeah,
I've lost.
yeah,
You know, and it's like, yeah, like you know what level people are at. At the same time, you're gonna pick and choose who you talk trash to. You're not gonna, you're not gonna
yeah.
be, you know,
Like for if anybody, first of all, if anybody watches this and if anybody is into jujitsu, like if Gordon Ryan, have you heard of Gordon Ryan?
yeah.
Yeah, they call him
He's
like
a white guy, right?
Yeah,
He's
it's
like
super huge,
yeah,
just
yeah.
juice to the gills. But like if that motherfucker showed up here, I am not talking. I'm not being like, yeah. Look, maybe I'd be like, hey, let's roll. I just want to see
Hey,
how good you are. But
They roll with that kid with the glasses.
oh, Mikey Musumeci,
Yeah.
bro, that dude. It's crazy too. It's cool how he calls out Gordon Ryan. He's like, yo, I know he's way bigger than me,
Yeah.
but this is the point of jujitsu, and I want
Right.
to prove that I'm smarter than him.
Yeah.
But I don't know, bro. Gordon Ryan is just—he's so technical
Yeah.
and also huge.
I feel like I talked shit when I was younger, and I was just so gung ho, and I was like, bro, there's nothing that's gonna stop me. I actually feel like the more you learn about yourself, the more you learn what you don't know. If that makes sense.
100%.
You become more aware of your own ignorance versus being ignorant, cocky, and you're willing to take risks. It may pay off, and it paid off for me. But now I'm in a position where I know what I'm capable of, and I'm also humble enough to recognize what I'm not capable of. So I'm a little bit more like hesitant to talk shit unless it's just in a joking manner,
Yeah,
and or unless it's like I don't know that I can beat him, but I'm gonna fucking try.
yeah,
And that's kind of what happened with the turkey trot. I was like, all right, I'm seeing his paces. He's running at a really fast pace. I'm not sure that I can beat him, but I'm gonna fucking hunt him down. And it was fun. And I was looking at ways to have the edge on you. I was like, okay, Ricky's running on a treadmill inside of an air conditioned space.
yep,
So I'm gonna make sure that I don't run on a treadmill. I'm gonna run strictly outside because I know that you're not you specifically, but people in general will
Yep.
struggle with the elevation changes and the temperature.
and I had the opposite on that. To me, I have bad knees, so I was like, they're gonna be training outside. Hopefully, they overtrain themselves on this hard pavement, and I'm over here on this cushy treadmill.
You're trying to save your joints?
Yeah, I'm like, my joints will be, yo, I'm gonna be crushing because in that day I'm gonna just go.
Yeah.
So it's funny how like, I guess at the end of the day, like the tactic and the technique, it's all or your strategy is always gonna change.
Right, and then also, aside from the physical training, I was doing some mental training. So I read the book "Hard Work Pays Off" by Matt Frazier, who's like 5 or 6 times most world's fittest man or whatever. And because I've been getting into CrossFit, so I read this book, and he talks about this concept called the rubber band. And the rubber band is like when he's neck and neck with someone, even though he's hurting. Number one, he doesn't show any pain, and number two, he essentially breaks the rubber band by accelerating or going so like making the distance or making the gain so large and so long that you break that person's spirit.
Yeah.
Right. And so I had
Yep.
I had that in mind. So I knew like, okay, when I pass Ricky, I'm not going to show him any pain and I'm going to act like I'm fresh. Like
Yep,
I can
yep.
run another 6 miles.
Yep.
But internally I was hurting.
Yeah.
And
it worked. And it worked. And it's crazy because I have that same, like, I haven't read the book. I hadn't heard that, like, it described that way. But I have that similar mentality, too, where I'm like, nah, break your opponent. But it, well, I guess this goes into, I've had conversations with this girl that sits behind me at work about, like, anxiety, depression, and all this stuff. And I'm like, it's crazy how sometimes, even though you have all these mental tools and you know it's just your mind playing tricks on you, you can tell yourself all this, but you still, like, it still gets to you. So in a situation like that, like, yeah, maybe in my mind I could have been like, nah, he's just doing it to mess with me. But it's not working. My body is still hurting. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, at the end of the day, it wasn't necessarily the fact that I got ahead of you that really killed you. It was the fact that we thought we were going to do a 5K race, which is 3.1.
Yep.
Ended up being 4.5. The conditions were, it was below freezing.
Yep.
It was windy. We weren't used to the elevation changes.
Hey, that sounds doper to say. Below freezing. I was describing it. I'm like, I was like 20, but the weather outside it felt like 15. Below freezing just makes it sound.
Below freezing could be minus 20 or 31 degrees.
Yeah. 31.9 degrees. Hey, it was below freezing.
It felt like we were in Antarctica.
Yeah. Nah, bro. But yeah, I feel like that's like a huge thing. Just the competitive spirit, having that mental, you doing those mental, clearly in your mind, it was fresh. It was a fresh strategy. And it was like, that's why I talk about the podcast that I like to listen to. Like, if you are listening to the same thing, I may have heard this mental tactic a few months ago. So then when a situation arises, when I can use it, I don't recall it, but having those weekly reminders, you're like, oh, no, it's fresh in your mind. So for you, it was fresh in your mind. You're like, nah, I'm gonna break his spirit, which I almost started walking.
Yeah, I don't think I broke your spirit. I just think you were hurting, I think you had some stomach issues. But moral of the story is, like, it doesn't matter whether I beat him or not, because he's beat me in plenty of things. We bet dinners and do all this stuff. What matters really, and I think the beautiful thing, the awesome thing about our friendship is just that we get to push each other to become better, and we don't have to try that hard to have a good friendship.
Yeah,
we are who we are, and we click, and like even you hang out with Sierra, and it's different. Like, there are some people that you might hang out with and you're like, yeah, I like him, but I don't know about his girl. Yeah. It's like, y'all are both a vibe. Like, we're all vibing together. Yeah. And then the same thing with John and Yesenia. Like, I could hang out with them, all the time and never get bored. Like, we're just on the same page. So
yeah. And I feel like that well, I mean, back to that, like, us connecting after the birthday. And then I don't even know when we started that group chat, but I feel like that group chat has, like I said, back to social media, it's just kept us plugged in the whole time.
I won't name drop, but let's just say that I left another group chat because I believe that I only want to associate myself with people who fundamentally have the same values as me. And if you don't have the same values, then I don't really necessarily have a reason to continue to be friends with you. And I'll give you plenty of opportunities to redeem yourself. And I'm not perfect by any means, but there are certain things that I don't tolerate. For example, infidelity, talking bad about women in like a, what do you call it? In like a negative way. Derogatory way. Or just being an asshole, or just thinking that you're the shit and just not having any not even a teeny amount of humility. And if you lack like that ambition, like the want to get better, then it's like, well, what am I doing in this circle? Like, what am I doing associating with these kind of people? And so like I said, I'm no one extraordinary, but I am pursuing to better myself. And so I think I ended up, starting a different group, and then
that is how it
I
came
included
about.
I included my cousin who doesn't even live here. But let me just say that I've noticed a huge difference in his life just from like us talking long distance, and it's like he sees what we're doing, and all we can do is lead by example, and other people will be motivated to do their to pursue their own, whether it's weight loss or their career advancement or whatever. And so when people see you take those leaps of faith, it kind of encourages them to like, you know
Yeah.
what, if they're doing it, if they can do it, then I can do it. And that's the truth. I ain't no one
Yeah.
special. Like if I can move to a different state and take a big leap of faith, then you can leave your current position and be like,
Yeah.
you know what, I'm gonna bet on myself, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna go pursue something else. So
I was actually thinking on that yesterday, I think. I'm like, yo, I don't think of myself as a leader, but in these situations, like we are leaders. We're not necessarily in a like, oh, I feel like amazing, like follow me. It's like, no, I'm just gonna share what I'm doing because I think it'll help benefit other people's lives. So like, here, this is what I'm doing, and hopefully this pushes you to do something different, and change your life.
yeah, it's imposter syndrome. It's something that I wish I maybe hadn't had these past 10 years, because I'm 31 now. And I'm like, man, if I didn't have that imposter syndrome, I may have started this YouTube channel when I was 20, when I was doing the Mazda Speed videos.
Yep.
Imagine all the things that I could have documented that may have been able to help someone else, or in the same thing with you. Whether it's like we went to college, we got 4-year degrees, like somebody out there is pursuing the same thing that we want, that we've already accomplished, and they're out there on YouTube like searching like
Yeah.
how to get through college, or how to lose weight, or how to train for a 5K, or even like I talk a lot about marriage with people, and it's like things that you should do before you get married, and it's like, hey, these are just my opinions, these are just the things that I've done, and maybe they can help someone else. But I think this is the whole point in us doing the podcast. I think that even though we may not like look at ourselves as leaders, the truth of the matter is that we are a walking beacon, and what you do in your life, how you live, like you leading by example, like people will pick up on that, and you'll start to people will be impacted just by your presence, just by the way that you operate. And it's been really nice, at least for me, because one of the nicest compliments that Sierra got, my wife, is that Yesenia was like, yeah, like we really respect like your guys' marriage, like we really admire like the relationship that you guys have.
Yeah.
And then Yesenia asked Sierra to be her witness, and the truth of the matter is Yesenia has a whole bunch of friends that she could have choose from, but she chose her. And Sierra's not even really that vocal about pushing her ideas on people. But to my point is the way that you operate, the way that you live your life, whether you like it or not, you're an example of how to be or how not to be.
And I think one of the craziest things that I've oh shoot, what is going on here? Oh, I think it just blocked. Boom. All right.
Yes.
What are we at actually?
We're at I can't tell.
I can't tell either. But I'll drop this last gem. Or I guess hopefully it's a gem. But one of the things too is that showing that what I've realized from watching other people that are successful and have been successful in things that I want to do is that it's not glamorous. Like you think, like everybody wants to think that it's a glamorous thing, and it's like you got to be, like you said, extraordinary, or there's a special key to get things done. But the reality of it is just consistency and repetition, and it's boring. It's just repetition. Like I was dropping those YouTube videos, and it's like, yeah, my day. Like I kind of stopped for a bit because I'm like, bro, I'm literally doing the same exact thing every single day, and even though I was like, man, maybe it's boring, but yeah, it is boring. It's repetition, but at the end of the day, consistency and what do they call it? Consistency and discipline equals freedom. That. As long as you're consistent and you're disciplined, it's not going to be glamorous, but eventually, you're going to reach whatever goal that you're trying to reach.
Right. Hey, that's a bar.
Boom.
Hey, so we don't know what we're gonna name the podcast.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna have some maybe I'll have, my wife join in, see if she wants to be on camera, hearing about, oh, actually, anyways, so Sierra's not really anywhere close to delivering our baby, but but she's 1 week away. Like,
I was like, wait, what? I thought you just said she was about, like, the baby's about to be born.
No. She wants the baby to be born, but there's no indication that that's happening. Yeah. Like, she's having contractions, but they're, like, spread apart, like, maybe a couple per hour every couple hours. Mm-hmm. But anyway, she's going to be induced on Thursday, next Thursday. Tomorrow's Thursday, but the following Thursday. A week from, like, that baby's coming out.
Bro, big life changes coming.
Yeah, so by the next podcast that we do, most likely she'll be born. Maybe we'll touch the subject on, what it feels like to be a dad. But there are a lot of topics that we can cover, and we're super excited to just, be on YouTube. Yep. Just be our authentic selves, spend some quality time together, and just share ideas and see if we can get some momentum.
Yeah. Hey, consistency. We gotta come up with a schedule. So
yeah, we're gonna be doing like workout podcasts. Gonna get some wireless mics or whatever. But let us know what you thought about the conversation, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.